Tonight, former chairman of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee, Samuel Atta, blows lid on why Ghana's production of petroleum has been on consistent decline over the last few years, further threatening Ghana's economic challenges.
The scenario of going to fight one of the remaining giants in the petroleum industry was a bad signal for Ghana.
Details as a minority member of the same committee also accuses government of inconsistent guidelines leading to a reduction in production due to big players leaving the country for neighboring Ivory Coast.
There must be a clear guideline that says that, look, if I have two wells that are communicating among themselves, when these conditions, when you have X, Y, Z prevailing, then this is exactly what we should do to unitize. So there must be consistency in that. And luckily enough, as a country, we have done that before. We unitize the Jubilee.
We have all the angles covered on this particular interesting story here on Top Story, brought to you by Telecel, Connecting Energies and Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. My name is Samuel Kojo. Tonight, former chairman of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee, Samuel Atta, is blowing the lid on why Ghana's production of petroleum has been on consistent decline over the last few years, further aggravating Ghana's economic challenges. He's been disclosing how he made personal intervention in a tussle between the Tallow Oil Ghana and the Ghana Revenue Authority, but did not get appropriate responses. He argues that exploration is capital intensive and therefore there should be a policy regime that protects the investment of the companies. He says the tussle between the Ghana Revenue Authority and Tallow Oil Ghana was a bad decision. Samuel Atta has been speaking on the big energy debate on PM Express on the Joy News channel.
I thought, with the greatest of respect, when I became the chair of the Energy and Mines Committee and I had representations from Tallow that what is going on is not good for the nation, I went very far with the matter that, why don't you bring it home?
All the way to the president?
Very much so. That I do not see why, given the fact that even the players now in the whole world stage, they are leaving the fossil fuel arena because of the future of the energy transition. And then if you have a few ones who want to take risk and there are local issues, not issues of technology and the rest of it, about taxes, it cannot be resolved. I have also stated I don't support the arrangement that, look, let's give some fight to Tallow in relation to the revenue you want to rake in. I believe that this matter...
Were you listened to when you took the matter up?
Well, I don't think I found the answer because I thought that the first thing is to withdraw all the issues before the arbitral court and then come home.
Did you see that? Did you get a sense that your government was committed to listening and to doing what was necessary to resolve this matter?
Well, there were a lot of legal issues, but I believe that the legal issues were not of consequence more than the implications for the nation that one of your best players in an oil field in which the giants are leaving the field, you have a fight with the president. So the scenario of going to fight one of the remaining giants in the petroleum industry was a bad signal for Ghana. And I'll say it.
I guess then you agree with the NDC that they would work to negotiate an outcome. And settle the dispute.
I'm of the view that.
Well, speaking on the same show, minority member of the committee, Edward Bauer, accuses government of inconsistent guidelines leading to big players leaving the country's oil industry.
Even guidelines in terms of operations, and I'll give you the typical example of the ENI thing that delayed us for almost 3 years. There must be a clear guideline that says that, look, if I have two wells that are communicating among themselves, when these conditions, when you have X, Y, Z prevailing, then this is exactly what we should do to unitize. So there must be consistency in that. And luckily enough, as a country, we have done that before. We unitize the Jubilee. The Jubilee field is a unitized field. When you have a situation where suddenly a minister sits down, or a government sits down, one party who has not even done an appraisal, because discovering oil is one thing. Appraisal to be able to ascertain the commerciality of it is another. The company has not even done any appraisal. Then suddenly you go on to talk about the fact that unitize. What are the parameters that are going to guide that unitization? And so when you have situations like this, you will see that irrespective of the fact that we have a transition period in terms of fuels, the investment that is done in our neighbor, at our neighbors' door, I'm talking about Cote d'Ivoire, are huge. ENI today has moved to what do you call it, Cote d'Ivoire,
yes.
And they are getting more things. Two, you have, we just finished talking about power and gas issues.
All right, so this is still top story. Let's deal more on this particular interesting development in Ghana's upstream petroleum sector, and bringing Nana Amwesi the seventh, who is the executive director of the Institute for Energy Security. Yes, he's joining me in the studio. We'll also be connecting or bringing on board Dr. Nida Kouasante, who is former PRC board member, to help us in discussing all of this, this development in Ghana's upstream petroleum sector, to understand what should be done. And I'm grateful to you for joining us here.
Thanks for having me, Kojo. Put it into your listeners.
Great. Nana, you've been studying the upstream sector. Now we understand that the production has been dwindling over the years. You hear that the Samuel Attacha says the way we dealt with some of the players was no good. I mean, what do you think should be done to reverse this trend?
Well, for us, the decline in production upstream comes to us as no surprise. They've been struggling to even find new fields because there have been less exploration in our fields over the years. And for that reason, consistently over the last 5 years, production of oil has been declining, gas production has been equally declining. And for bad reason. We know very well that over the past 5 years, it's been difficult even getting approvals for exploration, appraisal, and production. The processes is not simplified. It's been made quite difficult over the years. We don't know why. Again, we find that there is no policy certainty, clarity, transparency, and governance issues around policy have been quite difficult for the players. And so you find some of them moving out of the country. Year in, year out, over the last 4 years, you will find in the upstream chambers reports all these issues to the point where some players are compelled to move outside the country. For God's sake, I found oil here and were prepared to move ahead of it before they found oil in La Côte d'Ivoire. But out of frustration, they have to check out. And in the space of 2 years, they start production in La Côte d'Ivoire. And so today they are using La Côte d'Ivoire as a path to fly to Ghana, transact their business, and just walk out again. We believe that
when they started from here.
Sure, when did they start from here? In fact, they found Côte d'Ivoire as a safe home and haven. And we believe that this must be reversed if we're expecting oil production, gas production to be ramping up in the coming years.
How can we do that?
We need policy certainty. We need transparency. We need good governance. We need to see a simplified approval processes. Just this four can help us.
But why is this the case when we've been gaining experience over the years since we started exploration? Instead of helping us, it is rather, working against our progress?
If
Why
you
is
allow your
that?
political inclination and if you allow politics to drive you, these are some of the things that we see. Today, investors don't find Ghana's oil field or oil upstream sector attractive anymore. And so for us to have that attractiveness that we had initially, then we should be looking at our policies and our approval processes. This is very key. In fact, the business of oil and gas is time bound. And so if you delay any person or business, they will check out because other places and other businesses are waiting for them. And so to achieve a final investment decision, some of these ingredients are quite critical. Good governance, transparency, simplified processes, clarity, no opaqueness, no political interference in their business. I'm sure we're good to go as a country.
Let me bring in Dr. Steve Mantel. He is co-chair, Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, and a policy analyst. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, is it not in the interest of those who are managing the sector to want to get the best for Ghana? That is why we are where we are.
Yes, but the situation we find ourselves today, given the context of the global energy transition, you need to be very tactful in dealing with your investors. I've had the opportunity of doing some work for the upstream oil and gas chamber. And the feedback I get really is not helpful. Let's be mindful of the fact that before any new investor enters Ghana, he will speak to those who are already in the country. Now, I think if increasingly we are carving an image of a hostile investment destination to the outside world. It does not therefore come as a surprise that close to a decade now, after ExxonMobil, we've not been able to attract any new investments into the oil and gas sector. That said, I need to add that the current Minister of State at the Ministry of Energy appears to understand the issues. And I know he's taking steps to address these issues. We've had some engagements. In one of the meetings, he's had to give assurances to the country director of the ENI, who had been on the run for some time now because of some contempt case against him, for which reason he had to move camp from Ghana to La Côte d'Ivoire, as Nana Mwesi indicated, and therefore focusing more investment attention on Côte d'Ivoire rather than on Ghana. The minister had given all the assurances, and I've gotten Springfield to withdraw the contempt case against UNI unreservedly, and I think things are beginning to look up. But there are other reasons for the decline that we need to also have in view. Sometimes I get a feeling that somebody at the Ministry of Energy and also within the state oil company need to answer questions as to why we have not addressed concerns that have come to our attention. And yet we go on road shows spending millions of dollars on these shows. First is the size of our blocks. From the first competitive bid round, we had feedback from the companies that the size of our blocks were not attractive enough. I mean, other countries have much bigger blocks and therefore better prospects of making a discovery. ExxonMobil was also quite clear on this when it was leaving. We have done nothing about addressing that concern. Again, the data quality has been a concern that I know has come to attention of our policymakers following the bid round. That too, we've done nothing about it. And if you have not addressed the major concerns in the sector, and you spend money going on roadshows, then I think these are monies that you throwing down the drain, and you need to be able to answer for it. Besides that, I think the capricious manner in which we apply regulations in this country needs to be looked at again. sometimes we're a bit high-handed. And regardless of the fact that companies will waive their stability agreements at us, we still will insist that a law that was passed after the negotiation of their respective contracts should apply to those companies with stability agreements. No, these things are not applied retroactively, and it creates some hostility in the sector.
Okay.
So I think that generally we need to relook our approach to oil and gas sector governance, taking into account that investments these days are very scarce to come back.
But you mentioned that someone is to answer some questions. Who is this person?
Yes. Between the ministry and the National Oil Company, we need to get some answers as to why we know for a fact that these are the concerns, the size of our blogs, the data quality and all that. And yes, we've done nothing about them, and we continue to go on roadshows spending scarce resources that we do not even have.
If you say National Oil Company, do you mean the Petroleum Commission or which of them?
Well, we only have the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation and the ministry that supervises the company.
All right. Now, so you are saying that they go on these road shows knowing very well that they won't get any business out of these shows.
Exactly, because we companies have made it clear what needs to be done for them to be able to find our sector attractive. So if you haven't addressed this, then certainly there's no point in embarking on road shows.
Doc, stay with me. Let me bring in Dr. Nida Kwasanti. He's former PRC board member. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. You follow the discussion here. It looks like we know exactly what we have to do, but we are not doing that. Why that?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I guess you've answered your own question. We tend to find ourselves in this situation on a number of fronts in the energy sector. At the end of the day, really, there are decisions that we put in political hands, and then what happens is that once it's in political hands, other considerations, rather than technical reasons, rather than the commercial reasons that operate in the sector, begin to guide decision making. So unfortunately, whereas we know what we should do to get things moving, potentially some political consideration will guide us in a different direction. And when it comes to politics, it's not accountable to anybody. So simply put, these things need to be put in the hands of people who are accountable to, let me end it there. Essentially, when things go wrong, somebody should be held accountable. When it's politicians, well, you have to wait 4 years before you can hold them accountable. And I guess that's why we are where we are.
So what exactly are you suggesting?
It was mentioned that somebody at the ministry or at the national corporation should be answering questions. But really, when it comes to decisions about the manner in which our regulations are enforced, we tend to leave it to politicians to take the lead. And I'm saying we should move away from that. Let the Petroleum Commission, let the GRA be answerable directly for actions that they take. And if they cause financial loss or they cause Ghana to lose revenue one way or the other, then we can hold them accountable. If it's the politician who takes a decision, essentially the only person who can hold them accountable is the president or the voter. The voter can only do so in 4 years. But as we know, the president has other reasons for putting people where he does.
But how do we, who is supposed to, start this process of making people accountable?
Well, it's a combination of we, the people, and unfortunately, it's the same politicians again. So there was a call for transparency. Once politicians get involved, things are always shrouded in secrecy. But if decisions are made in a way that we cannot ask questions, that helps. But unfortunately, we allow some sort of political considerations to guide our decision making. So there was talk of regulatory certainty. If an administrator takes a decision which is questionable, and it leads us to lose out in terms of exploration. When we are talking now, we'll be saying the executive secretary of the Petroleum Commission or whoever else took that decision should be held accountable. But when we are talking now, we are talking without knowing who took what decision and why things were happening. So essentially, the minister takes the decisions and he's not accountable to us. So it shouldn't be the minister taking the decisions. The minister should be supervising the people taking the decisions, and the people who take the decisions should be accountable. Other than that, we will continue in this situation.
Okay, grateful. Stay with me. Let me come into the studio and bring in Anamosi again. And also, you heard Dr. Nida Kwasan today that someone should be taking, those decisions, and he or she should be held responsible. You agree with that?
In as much as people want to take the praise when things go right, when it goes wrong, they should equally be ready to take the blame. And for us, we believe that the Petroleum Commission is to be blamed. That's the regulator of the upstream. Okay. So you understand very well how things work and results and get good results, and how things work to generate bad results. And so if today we have policy and regulatory inconsistency, and also we have poor data and small acreage that does not attract investments, and we don't have stability in our agreement all this year as a regulator, and you've not done anything about it, then of course you must be blamed. Unfortunately, we can't direct it to the president, but someone will say the backstop of the president. But these reports gets to the Petroleum Commission. As to this report going to the president is another thing. But if the president knows all this and chose not to do, then we believe that it's political consideration that has driven us to where we are today.
Is it a case of putting square pegs in round holes? You are being specific that the Petroleum Commission should be held responsible. So is it a case of putting square pegs in round holes?
You can have the right fit to a hole, but if the fates had been told to choose a particular direction, then definitely there won't be a fit in there. And so we don't know whether the Petroleum Commission is running the baton from the presidency. We can't tell. But if we take the presidency out, we believe that the Petroleum Commission have not lived up to expectation. We clearly see, like Dr. Steve Mensah said, a pageant to travel and for per diem, go to road shows that we know very well that the stuff that we are taking to the market will not sell. Yet, on yearly basis, we go and we travel to Texas to ask people to come for investments when we know we have not placed in the right mechanism, the right tools and systems that will generate investments in the country. So the Petroleum Commission must be blamed here as a regulator.
Interesting thought here. Dr. Steve Mensah, you mentioned application of regulations. In the case of the GRA, they have been given a target. And if they are chasing tallow to pay what is due them, are we right to describe that as high-handedness?
Well, first and foremost, I think that we need to recognize the multifaceted nature of the problem leading to a decline in our oil production. You just mentioned one, the GRA, and the tendency to go for arbitration, or, well, the companies that disagree with the positions of GRA would normally seek international arbitration. We need to recognize that when that happens, it does not send the right signal to the international investor community, because then it creates the impression that we are fighting our investors. If it happens once, that's fine, we can live with it. But if time and again you have a company taking the whole country or GRA to international arbitration, then that raises some concern. I think the GRA will need to soften up and be more flexible in dealing with some of these issues, especially when their positions on tax matters are being challenged by the other party. We need to be able to engage more and come to some common understanding or some mutual agreement. I don't believe it's good to have all matters related to tax settled in international courts of arbitration. That is not a good signal. On the other side, the Petroleum Commission and the tendency to sometimes apply rules retroactively, that's also not too good. I think I've raised this time and again at various fora, and I'm aware that the Petroleum Commission is doing something about it. Then there is also the issue about who bears the ultimate responsibility for the waste of the state's resources on road shows. I think the ultimate responsibility rests with the Ministry of Finance. I say this because, for instance, enhancing the data quality is an investment decision. It requires spending money on exploration to upgrade our data, most of which are 2D to 3D. Now, this requires money, and it's a policy decision that has to be taken by the Ministry of Energy and not the Petroleum Commission. The Petroleum Commission, in my view, will only regulate the technical aspects of operations. But when it comes to investment decisions, that has to be done by the state. Then, of course, I want to hold the ministry responsible.
And that is which ministry? Because you mentioned two, Ministry of Energy.
Ministry of Energy.
Okay, all right. Grateful to you for joining us here, Dr. C. Mantia. Dr. Nida Kwasante, in just 30 seconds, what do you expect to happen from tomorrow? Is it too late for this government to do something in bringing back that confidence that oil companies had in the sector? Hello, Dr. Nida Kwasante. All right, looks like I've lost him. Nana, is it too late if you look at the time left for government to conclude its dealings?
Well, I think it's too late. But then for every investor, they might be taking a cue by now from their energy manifestos, what they plan to do upstream for all the political parties. So if any investment have to go on, I'm sure they'll be guided by the policies they have placed in their manifestos. That will be a simple guide to an investor. So let's watch that space, and every investor must be concerned about what is in their manifesto.
Okay, so they should pick the manifestos and see what's going to happen.
Of course, it's too late now.
All right, grateful to you. Nana Amwesi, the 7th is the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security, IES. This has been Top Story. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Coming up next is News Nights.
Woman, from the young lady brimming with exciting and novel business ideas to the market queen managing her empire, there's the she architect, quantity surveyor, realtor, business consultant, crafting dreams into reality, and the multitasking mom seamlessly blending work at home, the entrepreneur meticulously checking stock, to the corporate woman sealing deals on the move. Indeed, there's a business in every woman. Introducing Telecel Women in Business, our initiative to empower women-led and women-owned enterprises. Benefit from tailored activities, networking, business and technical support, free webinars, trainings, and more. To join this initiative, be a female-led business and a Telecel business customer. Visit telecel.com.gh/business to register now.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302-681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Apo.
Jimmy Braggart, as for you.
I am Jimmy Braggart, aka Yesi. Auntie Mercy, I have just got the feeler that the Electoral Commission is able to print some ballot papers secretly that they can stuff in ballot boxes on election day to favor a particular candidate.
Hey, Yesi. You and your wild feelings.
This one is true. I am sure if Mr. Isi is here, he will confirm it.
Mr. Isi is here, and I say it's a big lie. Ghana is one of the few countries whose Electoral Commission prints ballot papers within the country.
Oh, did I not say it?
To ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability, political party representatives, the police service, as well as the National Intelligence Bureau, all observe the printing and packing of the ballot papers. All ballot papers have official serial numbers, which means that any ballot paper you see on election day that do not have these official serial numbers are fake.
Yesi, are you listening?
The party agents and all other observers maintain 24-hour observation of the process by either not sleeping at all or changing personnel as the case may be. Immediately after printing and before packing, the political parties record serial numbers of all ballot papers allocated to each region, district, constituencies, and polling stations. When the ballot papers are being dispatched to the regional police armory, the party agents and other observers follow the security vans. Each stage is closely monitored by the political party agents and all other stakeholders.
Yesi, aka Jimmy Braggart. You get it? You must trust the process.
This is part of the process towards conducting a free, fair, and transparent election by the Electoral Commission.
Now we know the truth. We won't fall for the lies anymore.
Electoral Commission of Ghana. Transparency and accountability in motion.
It's Heaven on Earth conference season, and the glory is about to fall. Join us for our annual Word and Worship Conference dubbed Heaven on Earth. Come be inspired and refreshed with dynamic, life-changing messages from our host and global lead pastor, Gideon Danso, and mighty men of God, such as Pastor Bradley Knight, Pastor Kojo Yemade, Pastor Keon Henderson, Pastor Paul Doherty, and Pastor Travis Green. Leading worship will be the sound of our house, EWC Live. Sessions are from 6 p.m. each night, from Wednesday through to Friday, and we crown it all on the 24th with Conference Sunday at 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. in the morning, our worship night at 6 p.m. Location is the EWC Prayer Fact, Jowolu, next to the Allied Heights, and it's absolutely free. There'll be free buses as well at key vantage points. For more information, 055-100,002. We can't wait to have you at Heaven on Earth Conference, brought to you by the Empowerment Worship Center, where God lives.
We are 23 days away from the 2024 presidential polls. Hashtag Stop Galamsey now still on. You're welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, minority in parliament demands full-scale probe and prosecution of company alleged to have repackaged 22,000 bags of expired rice and distributed same to senior high schools across the country.
Where there ought to be prosecution. The company laments, I have intercepted documents where they have admitted to their wrongdoing and agreed to pay a fine, a paltry fine of 100,000 cedis.
Well, all institutions concerned have so far declined speaking to us, but we'll get to hear from the Education Ministry on this. Also tonight, the reasoning behind the 5-2 Apex Court decision ready. The 109-page ruling says an MP seat can only be vacated if they switch political parties in Parliament. Plus, why Justice Amadou Tanko believes the decision is an aberration to the established and accepted judicial position of the Apex Court. We want to stay for extracts of the reasoning of the views of the justices. An Electoral Commission tonight commences nationwide transfer of parliamentary ballot books to the various holding centres across the country.
So far, so good. At least we have our eyes fixed on the ball.
Satisfied? Oh yeah, it's okay. You can see a couple of constituencies are done.
And in business, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers projects marginal reduction in fuel prices at the pumps in the coming days.
In sports, Niger thrashed Sudan to hand Ghana lifeline in AFCON 2025 qualifiers.
And then we have our constituency lens. The battle for Ayawaso Central Parliamentary seat heats up as voters pile pressure for a stronger city and a robust economy, with both NPP and NDC vowing to capture the seat.
Somebody should prompt our vice president that we did not vote for him for what? Digitalization. Apps can't do anything for us. For now, what we need is food on the table.
Plus, we hit the campaign trail, and former President John Dramani Mahama is at it again, taking on President Akufo-Addo.
As we now call it, that I will start you Montoma. That's how they have. And the media, and the Akatamahabo, Medibakubesio, Katamna 3, Medibakubesio, Aka University of Ghana Medical Center, Medibakubesio, Aka Farming Kruma Interchange.
Well, we hit the campaign trail shortly. And it's finally here as the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair, the one-stop destination that guarantees the proper Ghana experience, display of Ghanaian inventions and rich culture.
Everyone here is very excited, and as I look around, I see beautiful things, and wherever you are, I believe you should come and enjoy with us, be a part of this celebration of Ghanaian creativity and craftsmanship.
I'll give you details of the launch and live at the Good Park at the Accra Mall. That and more here on Newsnight. I am Emefa. Apawu, please do join us with your thoughts. Your comments is via WhatsApp is 05511119997. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, live on myjoyonline.com. X Spaces, we're there. You can hit us with the hashtag Newsnight. And tonight we start off with that story that's got many parents concerned. Parents, guardians alike have been hitting us about the safety of their children at the various senior high schools, because tonight the minority in parliament is also demanding a full-scale probe into allegations that a company has repackaged 22,000 bags of expired rice and distributed same to senior high schools and some school feeding caterers across the country. Well, according to the North Tongue MP Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa, who's been publishing the information, the FDA investigated the company for illegal repackaging of the rice imported from India and imposed an administrative charge of 100,000 cedis, a charge the company has paid half of and allegedly refused to pay the rest. Mr. Ablakwa also claimed this consignment of expired rice has already been consumed by students in senior high schools. Listen.
My investigation has revealed that the National Food Buffer Stock Company clearly conspired with a company known as Lamens Africa Investments Limited. And they use the buffer stock storage facility in Kumasi in the Ashanti region to repackage expired rice. They brought in rice from India. The brand is Moshosho rice, which expired in December 2023. That was the best before date. They then conspired with the buffer stock company to use their premises for rebagging. So they obtained different bags, this time with the inscription ECOWAS, made in Ghana rice, without an expiry date. And they transferred the expired rice into these bags. Fortunately, there was a tip-off to the Ashanti Regional Police Command and the FDA.
Right.
They moved in and sought to prevent the whole criminal conduct from continuing. So the police closed down the place. I have intercepted letters that the Ashanti Regional Police wrote to the FDA asking that the samples that they had retrieved from this criminal enterprise be tested. Will you believe that before the test results will arrive from Accra FDA on the 6th of February, instructions came from above that the expired contaminated rice should be distributed and sent to the schools. So as we speak, all the 22,000 bags of rice that the police sought to contain and confiscate have been sent to the schools. And I have the distribution list where schools, including my own alma mater, PRESEC, signed and received these rice.
Well, Mr. Ablakwa, is also the former Deputy Minister for Education and currently chairing the Parliament's Assurance Committee, says the company and other players found to be culpable in the distribution of these alleged expired rice to schools must be dealt with in accordance with the law.
We're at a point where there ought to be prosecution. The company laments. I have intercepted documents where they have admitted to their wrongdoing and agreed to pay a fine, a paltry fine of 100,000 cedis, when you have jeopardized the health of thousands of Ghanaian students. And even the fine, they've only paid half, and they can't be located to pay the rest. Can you believe that? And what makes this whole scandal so frightening, so traumatizing, is that the FDA results shows that the rice was so contaminated. It had insects. It had a very high fat acidity. And medical doctors who have seen the FDA test results say that this rice should have been destroyed. It's not even good for animals.
Well, Mr. Ablakwa, you are MP and head of the Assurances Committee in Parliament. What further steps are you taking on the matter?
So we have discussed, we've had a meeting with the leadership of our caucus. I've also had discussions with the leadership of the Education Committee and members of my committee. We are collaborating on this. We are immediately demanding that the IGP arrest the directors of Lamens Investments Africa Limited. And then we are demanding questions. Why? We're demanding answers to these questions. Why is it that the FDA, the Ashanti Regional Police Command, their work was truncated, orders from above, and they were not allowed to destroy the rice? We need answers. Why did the Food and Buffer Stock Company conspire with Lamens to use their premises for this criminal enterprise? Why did the Food and Buffer Stock Company not register their premise, their storage facility, with the FDA as the Public Health Act at 851 requires? So if you look at the chain, there are so many institutions who have questions to answer, who have let our students down, have let parents down, have let the Ghanaian people down. And in the next few days, we are going to be demanding answers to these questions.
That's the North Tongue MP, Samuel Kujetu Ablakwa, who is also the chairman of the Government Assurances Committee in Parliament. A number of institutions and companies have been mentioned in this particular interview we had with my colleague, Mami Esinyamiche Thompson, on the Midday News. And the National Food Buffer Stock Company, at least key, we've been speaking to them. We're told, we've been hearing, trying to actually reach them, I should say. And as it stands now, they say they will not comment for now and will put out a statement in due course. We've also reached the Food and Drugs Authority, which conducted the initial investigations into the matter and even imposed an administrative charge on the company, from what we are told. They've also declined comments as of now. They tell me they will issue a statement in due course. But we've not been able to reach Lamens Africa Investment Limited, the company which is allegedly involved in repackaging expired rice imported from India and delivering to our schools. We are told this happened in February. But thankfully, the Ministry of Education PRO, Kwesi Kwarteng, is joining us here on Newsnight. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight, Mr. Kwarteng. So tell me, since this story broke, I'm sure you've been working and trying to find out what exactly is this. Really, what's your initial briefing when it comes to this issue?
Thank you very much, Emefa. Let me state that the ministry's attention has been drawn to the allegations that has been made by the Honorable Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa. Of course, in the face value, I must admit that there's a positive feedback for the Ministry of Education in terms of how we can be able to use this feedback to be able to improve our services so far as education is concerned. It is important that we reiterate that we take these allegations very seriously. And even based on that, we have immediately commenced a full investigation into it. It is important to understand that the ministry by itself do not engage in food distribution and supply, and that the agencies that are responsible for these activities has to do with the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO, and the Ghana Commodity Exchange. As of now, we have reached out to these agencies that are responsible for the supply and distribution of food to senior high schools, particularly with regards to buffer stock. And we are jointly looking into the concerns or the matters that has been raised. Of course, we need certain responses from them. We need some commentary from them, even administratively. Of course, on that note, we also even call on state institutions, particularly the Ghana Police Service and all other relevant state institutions, to also commence same investigation so that it does not necessarily become a one-party investigation affair. But the most important thing is that we take the feedback as a very positive feedback. We are glad that the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa is bringing this to our notice, and we are working on it. Indeed, we assure parents, guardians, and the general public that the ministry remains committed in protecting the health and safety of our students. Those under Akyea, irrespective of where they find themselves, whether at the junior high school, the basic school, and the senior high schools. And consequently, we'll pursue this matter and ensure that the safety and well-being of our students stands paramount. At no point will the Ministry of Education countenance on some of these unscrupulous activities, no matter who is involved or who is behind. Most important thing is that we are very much convinced that at the end of the investigation, we should be able to get to the bottom of this, and if necessary, pierce the veil and get to know the individuals or the personalities behind this unscrupulous activities that has happened. But of course,
Kwesi, in getting to know the unscrupulous persons that you talk about, how about starting with Laments Africa Investment Limited, the company we're told are the heart of this particular controversy? Have we reached out to them? What exactly is your story? Have we heard anything? Do they actually distribute food to these schools? What shows that it is not happening now as we speak? Have we reached out? What exactly are they telling the ministry?
Yes, so like I indicated earlier, the Ministry of Education, it is not within our mandate to even engage food suppliers.
I know that, but you should be concerned that suppliers are actually sending expired food to schools. Our children are eating it. So I'm asking if we've actually reached out to Laments Africa Investment to start with as part of your initial or preliminary investigation.
That is why I indicated that the agency responsible for dealing with Laments and all other associated suppliers, we have quickly reached out to them. That is the buffer stock. For now, what I can say is that we have reached out to buffer stock, we have reached out to GCX, and we have commenced investigation into that. That, for me, has to be the preliminary comment that we can make to this. And like most importantly, I indicated, we are committed in getting to the bottom of this. I'm excited that ultimately other state institutions are also interested in this matter, because clearly, I mean, on the face value, assuming the concerns or the allegations that has been raised are valid, then it's a purely criminal matter, which I am very certain that we collaborate with the Ghana Police Service to be able to make sure that we bring the perpetrators to book, and all of them also face the full rigors of the law at the end of the day.
As we speak, Kwesi, just before we came on air, a few parents were here today asking about the safety of their children in schools. Have you been able to identify all the schools that may have consumed this expired rice? Are there specific actions that will be taken? Are we checking the stock that they have today? Is it that it is still not happening? Have we checked? What exactly is the situation?
I mean, like, rightfully, as you broke the story, these are allegations that has been leveled. Of course, I'm unable to dispute the fact that has been raised, particularly when I don't have any counterfacts to it. But most importantly, until investigation concludes, you are unable to respond to some of these very valid questions that you raised. And I'm sure it is even a more reason why the ministry itself has taken it upon itself to also commence investigation into it. Other than that, I will just be speculating and creating assumptions that will not be based on any concrete evidence or fact. And I am assuring you, I'm assuring Ghanaians, I'm assuring the general public that this is a very important and urgent issue, and we are going to look into it and make sure that we get to the bottom of it and brief the public accordingly. Because, at no point should any person, any organization, any company be engaged or involved in this. If we have the opportunity to be working with government through the buffer stock company, I do not agree that should become a license for you not to only exploit government and even the students, but also to harm them, assuming without admitting those allegations are founded. But I think we'll be able to get more clearer details if we are able to investigate it fully or when investigation terminates.
Okay. We're grateful, and definitely this is a story that we'll be watching closely. Kwesi Kwarteng is the PRO of the Ministry of Education. Thank you so much for joining us. Thankfully, we also have the National Secretary of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Schools, Primus Barrow, also joining us. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight, Mr. Barrow. So over the period, we've been talking about the quality of food that is fed to our children. And today it is emerging, at least the allegation that we're hearing is that some expired rice was rebagged and distributed across the country. I'm sure this is a story that you've heard. What exactly are the steps that we're taking, or maybe your initial reaction first, then we'll talk about the details.
Good evening to you, and good evening to your listeners and Mr. Kwarteng. I must be frank with you. I have hopped from one meeting to the other since yesterday, and I'm even on my way back to my station when I had a call from Joy to speak to this issue. My initial comments will be that, as Mr. Kwarteng rightly put it, and before man and God, I wouldn't want to pull the horse before the cart. This is the first time. This is the first time I'm actually hearing this story. Since we started having this emergency distribution of food items. Since we opened, frankly, the situation has not been very stabilized. We've conversed with the minister on the issue, and some steps have been taken in the past few days to beef up the food supply in the schools. I myself, it's just only yesterday I received a number of bags of rice, and I have not reached the school, and I have not seen what has been supplied. This is actually the first time I'm getting this information from Joy News.
Okay.
And I just pray. I am praying, and I want to believe wholeheartedly that this story turns out not to be true. If it turns out to be true, then this will go down as one of the most unfortunate incidents as far as feeding in our schools is concerned. And a lot more questions and a lot more issues will emanate from it. So I will not want to comment on it. It's an assignment for me. I'm not sure my president has heard of it. We spoke this evening, but I'm not sure he has had any indication of that because he would have mentioned it. So it's also an assignment beyond this call. We also call our colleagues across the country, our leadership across the country to find out what the issue is. I don't know whether when the issue was coming up, whether some specific regions were mentioned, where Lamens particularly is supplied. I don't know where exactly he's supplying. If they were mentioned, that would have made our work easier. I can assure you that we're also going to keep a very close eye on this issue. This definitely cannot be a secret that anybody will want to put under the carpet.
Okay.
I can only urge that our colleagues who are affected by this issue should boldly come out, and then I'm sure the ministry, as Mr. Kwarteng has rightly put it, the ministry themselves will have an interest in dealing with the issue appropriately.
Well,
that's my initial comment on this.
Okay, so from what he told my colleague, at least from what Mr. Okujeto Ablakwa told my colleague Mamisi, it does appear that is a bit more prevalent in the Greater Accra region. He talked about a distribution point at Presec, amongst others. But have you heard about ECOWAS made in Ghana rice?
I have not heard about it. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what we're told, that's how it is branded. But what's the state? Because since the story broke, though, we've been hearing from a number of parents who are calling in, wondering about the kinds of food that you're feeding our children as we speak. What's the state, the current state of the food? What would you say? How would you describe it?
You mean the general state of food in our schools?
Exactly.
Well, I must say that as has always been the case, it cannot be a uniform situation. But generally speaking, what I can say is that our members have complained bitterly about the supply of food items since the reopening of schools. We haven't made that, we have not sat with the issue as national officers. We have engaged our Director General. In fact, as I talk, there's an official communication to that effect, which I know by tomorrow morning it should hit them.
Okay.
So we are asking that more food should be supplied. Especially what is true, and I can speak for Upper West in particular because we are still collating the issues. That's why today we could not even finalize the official communication. We are trying to get the coalition from across the country. But in most cases, what is happening is that it is rice that is going around the schools. Most schools, Upper West, for example, aside rice now, we do not have any food item. Virtually, do we have any of the cereals? And that is a big challenge for us. Other regions may have because of, number one, who supplies. Because we have different suppliers supplying the regions and some other reasons. But generally, the picture is not as good as we want it to be. Okay. There are challenges in that respect. That much I know. But I cannot put percentages. I cannot put figures to that. By tomorrow, we shall have a very good idea of what the picture is. But generally, I can say that generally, the supply of food items to school is not what we expect. Something needs to be done more urgently.
Well, but just before I let you off, though, do you know about Laments Africa Investment Limited?
Oh, sure. I know about Laments. They supplied our region some time ago. Yeah, some time past. For now, they are not supplying our region. They don't supply my school. Yes. But I know of Laments as one of the suppliers, to buffer stock. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Barrow, we are grateful.
Yes,
that's the National Secretary for the Conference of Heads of Assisted Schools there, interacting with us on that allegation put out by the North Tongue MP, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. And of course, the ministry is giving assurances that they are actually looking into this matter and will give us updates as and when we get it. But just before I bring in George, we are learning this evening about the details of that Supreme Court ruling or judgment this week, and they've provided a detailed explanation for its decision to uphold the suit brought by Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin. Well, according to the Apex Court, a member of Parliament is deemed to have vacated their seat if they change their political affiliation and continue to serve in Parliament under a new party identity. Well, this ruling also supports the suit filed by the Majority Leader, clarifying that the relevant constitutional provisions apply only within the current term of Parliament. Well, the 109-page document also goes on that the court specified that Articles 97, 1G and H of the Constitution does not extend to future parliamentary terms, such as when NP runs for election under a different political party in subsequent elections. Well, the Supreme Court emphasized that an MP seat must be vacated if they switch parties while holding office within the same parliamentary term. In other words, I should say, changing political affiliation during a parliamentary term while remaining in Parliament will lead to the loss of their seat. Other portions also address the situation for independent MPs, making it clear that if an independent MP joins a political party while serving their current term, they must vacate their seat. The ruling elaborates that the constitutional provisions should be viewed in the context of the existing term of Parliament, while they do not intend to also regulate future candidacies or the electoral ambitions of MPs who wish to contest under different political parties in the future. Now, it follows from the above, therefore, that the only plausible conclusion which must necessarily flow from a holistic and contextual reading of Article 97 1G and H is that an MP seat shall be vacated upon departure from the cohort of his elected party in parliament to join another party in parliament while seeking to remain in that parliament as a member of the new party. So that's been the justification that that 5-2 decision is giving, at least on the side of the 5. Now, we also have extracts of the dissenting views, the 2, on this matter. Justice Amadou Tanko is one of the 2, and I quote portions of his writing, or the reasoning in that judgment is that I do not hasten to proclaim that I have apprehended with despair the majority's conclusion in this suit, but I state with utmost deference to the Honourable Chief Justice and the rest of my brethren in the majority that not only do I fundamentally disagree with their conclusion, I, with all due respect, also find the decision an aberration to the established and accepted judicial position of this court, which with profound respect, I hope, in no distant future, the resultant usurpation of the constitutional prerogative of the High Court incidental to the majority decision will be reversed. These are just extracts of the 109-paged reasoning of the Supreme Court 5-2 decision this week. And we're breaking it down more for you, for your understanding. There's more also on myjoyonline.com. on this. George,
to quote your expression always that you use, I mean the blow-by-blow detailed account, of
yes.
this thing to let us appreciate. I mean, you always find these rulings very interesting to see how some of the judges really stand by, I mean, their position and decision with respect to how they are convinced that that is the way to go. And they will never miss the point why they think that it should go that way.
Exactly.
Well, Emefa, coming up in business, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers projects marginal reduction in prices of petroleum products at the pumps in the coming days. And cedi strengthens further against the dollar as Bank of Ghana continues with improved market support program. The business news on Newsnights is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationers in Thanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST Campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Choboy! Yeah. We have a new leader
here in town. Obiarentie. Amanfo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal packed with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
From the classroom to the lab, from the village to the city, the NPP's commitment to education is building a brighter Ghana. Free SHS isn't just about free tuition, it's an investment in Ghana's future. We have topped it up with free TVET and STEM education, skilled graduates, innovative thinkers, and a thriving economy. That's the promise of free SHS.
3 of my cousins have benefited from free SHS since 2017. One has graduated and is in nursing training. The other 2 are also in the university. I'll vote number 1. I'll vote for Baumia on December 7th.
We are building a better tomorrow through education. Vote NPP. Vote number 1. Vote Baumia. Baumia means business. Estro.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah.
Here's to the friends who dialed star 712 hash and found no regrets. To the investors who struck gold. To the health workers who diagnosed luck with precision. To the tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, here's to you. Your next big win is right here.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone.
Dial star 712 hash. Now join in the luckiest winning celebration. Every 1st July 2024. Over dial star 712 hash. Now I can to take it through as a group, individual, and now even as a community. Now win is the car prizes are in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash. Now join in the winning streak now.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
You welcome back to Business on News 9. Now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is projecting some marginal reduction in fuel prices in the coming days. Fuel prices should be expected to be reviewed from the 16th of this month in line with the bi-weekly adjustment of prices. Now, if that happens, it could be the first time in several months that prices have gone down at the pumps. Duncan Amo is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber.
For the coming window in the second window in November, prices at the pumps, from what we have gathered, the data available to us now, indicates that fuel prices could ease between about 3 to 5% across board. But again, this would definitely be on condition that the cedi does not depreciate any further from where it is currently.
Duncan Amwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, and talk about the local currency. The city continues with this good run against the dollar for the 4th day running this week. But what is accounting for this, and is this sustainable? There's more in this report.
Some of the commercial banks are linking this development to improved dollar support coming from the Bank of Ghana. Local currency, which was actually depreciating every day from last month, has seen some sudden turnaround. From this week, its rate of depreciation has slowed significantly, while in some cases, it has posted some stability against the US dollar. The central bank has also been very heavy on the market in terms of dollar support. The Bank of Ghana has used several options available to offer dollars to the commercial banks and businesses. One can talk about the spot option as well as the 7-day dollar sale. All these measures have improved dollars on the market to deal with the liquidity concerns last month. Economist Professor Lord Mensah, on his part, has told Joy Business that he thinks we've seen the worst for the cedi already for the year. He's therefore expecting some good run in the coming days. The high demand for Christmas import appears to be slowing down. Bloomberg News portal, for instance, puts the amount that has been pushed onto the market by the Bank of Ghana during this period as around $240 million.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, is the issuance of Treasury bills in the coming days under threat? Now, that's the question on the minds of a lot of market watchers. Now, this was after the Office of the Attorney General was there with an application seeking to stop government from raising funds through Treasury bills unless it secures prior approval from Parliament. Now, private legal practitioner Jonathan Amable tells Joy Business he expects government to put a freeze on all fundraising activities through this route.
The Supreme Court has already held that Treasury bills and bonds are borrowings. In the case of Apawu against the Attorney General, the Supreme Court has already held that. And the further thing is that when you have the Treasury bills and the bonds, the Supreme Court has held that any contract which is concluded in contravention of Article 181 is void. And nobody can derive any benefit from it.
So, Counsel, has the registry given a date to begin hearing?
No. So the practice of the Supreme Court nowadays is that you file your application when the Attorney General is served, then the registrar will now issue a hearing notice with a date for the hearing of the application. The bailiffs have confirmed that the government has been served, and so we are expecting that tomorrow there wouldn't be any activity in terms of issuing Treasury bills for settlement on Monday until the court has been able to determine the matter.
So will you cite the Attorney General for contempt of court if they go ahead to issue bonds?
I mean, I will consult my lawyers if the government should go ahead and do that. But I mean, recent history has shown that the government, if you look at what happened with Parliament and all of that, the government, they understand the situation that once the application is filed, their hands are stayed. So I don't think it will come to that.
Jonathan Amable is a private legal practitioner who has taken government to court over the issuance of Treasury bills unless it secures approval from Parliament. Speaking to my colleague Pius Kojo on Marketplace on Joy News this afternoon. Now, Absa Bank Ghana is making commitment to reverse the global perception on business ethics and sustainability, which indicates that many employees have no proper ethics at their work environment. Managing Director of Absa Ghana, Edward Bochi, says that the situation is a setback. He's been speaking at the Business Ethics Network Conference closing session in Accra today.
The Global Business Ethics Survey, 87% of employees do not think that the workplace culture has high ethics. 87%. Now, that is a big number, and clearly it speaks to the work that needs to be done if we are going to achieve our aim of ensuring that there's ethics in business. However, this challenge does also present to us opportunities. Opportunity for us to take the lead and to make a difference in the institutions in which we do work.
Managing Director of Absa Ghana, Edward Boche, if you should turn attention to the stock market, and if you are holding the shares of MTN Ghana, it was up by 3 pesos today, and at the end of trading, each share is now worth 2 Ghana cedis, 36 pesos. If you've also invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange, the returns is now more than 48%. Now, that could be the best return on the market today compared to other investment instruments in the country today. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, or come to Daniel Cranton with sports. And have any good news for Ghana?
Yeah, Niger is thrashed Sudan 4-0 to move above Ghana into third place in Group F of the AFCON qualifying. Sudan, who needed just a point to secure qualification to the competition, will now have to avoid defeat against Angola to qualify for the AFCON. The result comes as a boost for Ghana, who take on Angola tomorrow night, needing a win to keep their chances alive. Any result other than a win in tomorrow's game will end Ghana's chances of booking an 11th straight AFCON appearance. Now, the Black Stars, they will hold their final training session at 8 p.m. tonight ahead of tomorrow's game against Angola in Luanda. All 23 players are expected to be present after defender Ebenezer Annan joined the team earlier today. Kickoff for tomorrow's game is at 7 p.m. And Emefa will need the prayers of every Ghanaian.
Our prayers, bar. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Thank you very much, Danny Cranton. I'll take you to the election headquarters pretty shortly, but we've been talking about that Supreme Court judgment and the reasoning behind that particular judgment. And we've been seeing a statement on the Facebook page of Thaddeus, the lawyer for the Speaker, and portions of it reads, the Supreme Court's decision released this afternoon is interesting. The majority decision raises a number of legal issues. Since this is a public and not legal platform, I will discuss the most basic but fundamental issue for debate. In every case before the court's final judgment is based on the case presented to the court contained in the original papers filed by the plaintiff before the court. If the facts on which the plaintiff initially presented their case to the court changes and they want the court's decision to reflect the changed circumstances, they must formally change the original case by way of an amendment. The Supreme Court rules allow the plaintiff to amend their statement of case. And this particular reaction is titled, "There is no order against the Speaker." And he concludes by saying, I'm sure you get to read the entire portion of it on my Journal Online and also on his Facebook page. It says there is no order saying that the MPs must be allowed in Parliament or order directing that Parliament recognize the said MPs as earlier ordered by the court contained in the majority decision of the court. The order staying execution of the Speaker's ruling is now spent. And he concludes by saying, so Mr. Plaintiff Tantalus, on my mind. I'm sure the lawyers and the legal brains know that. But let me take you to the election headquarters now.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petroleum Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, Chopbox Technologies, a convenient service, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, AICPA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development, Syntex Tanks, Ayer Strong, Ayer Tough, and Potential Real Estate, your trusted partner in real estate.
And with only 22 days until the presidential and parliamentary elections, voters in the Ayawaso Central Constituency are intensifying pressure on political parties to present clear, actionable plans to address their top concerns: a resilient economy, a stronger city, enhanced security, and improved sanitation. In this edition of Constituency Lens, Carlos Caloni takes us to the heart of Ayawaso Central here in the capital.
This is one of the constituencies that has remained loyal to the Elephant family since 1996. The NDC has never won this constituency. The current MP, Henry Kote, won this for a second term with 52.89%. But with a projected voter population of 74,912, according to Ghana Report Election Data Center, will the NDC be lucky this time? We don't know. But what are the issues on the heart of electorate here in the Ayawaso Central Constituency as the 2024 election approaches?
For me, I think we are going to vote based on our economic issues. If you could remember, during 2016, they campaigned about the economic issues. So it's the same thing. I go to what to vote against them out. Because now we are buying KK for here at Circle, 7 cities. It's too much. Even Circle here, you can't get even common fish at 10 cities.
Nobody can get 3 square meal a day to eat. So I look at my pocket once I can vote.
But some will also argue that you probably have kids and your kids are benefiting from the free SHS. Yes. So that is also an angle you should look at.
I cannot say it's fully free senior high school. Because why? We pay the exams fee, we pay this chair exams fee, and everything we have to pay.
What I'm looking at to vote this term is the economy. I've been here for more than 15 years, no, 20 years, and I have realized the bad one, the good one, and the ugly. And I must say that this current one is the ugly one, because the problem that we are facing is too much. You come to town and you cannot even raise 100 cedis in a month or in a week, which is of course very bad. Again, you go home, your electricity is high. Every 5 days I have to buy electricity, 50 Ghana cedis. I'm a family of 4. I only have fridge and TV, and it's too bad. One, when it comes to security, for here I cannot say much because we have an MP who has been an interior minister for over 12 years. Our street lights are not working, starting from Odo Rise to Pig Farm. Sometimes if you don't take care, before you realize you've used your car to hit somebody. Our security system here is bad, especially when it comes to what? The street light. It's not working. Now, let me talk about the economy. When our vice president was then in opposition, he was saying that somebody was incompetent. At that time, the dollar was 4 point something. Kenke was 1 cedis, 50 pesos. Today, Kenke is 7 cedis. It's 7 cedis, 10 cedis. Where I used to use 7 cedis to buy food, today when I go there, I have to use 30 Ghana cedis. And at that time too, he was saying that that man was incompetent. Today, That same man that we are touting today as a digital man, he never built a digital center nor a data center. But people are channeling, praising him. Meanwhile, he has run away from his responsibilities. He is an economist. We are asking him today, dollar is 17 point something. Somebody should prompt our vice president that we did not vote for him for what? Digitalization. Apps can't do anything for us. For now, what we need is food on the table.
Now, away from the street, what are the concerns of market women also here in the Malam Atta market?
The issue about the school and the lights. The lights too, they said they have brought another new this thing and it's running fast. So this year for the election, we want us to change the bill for us.
Education is what is worrying me particular.
What do you want done about education?
I want them to do that free essay. Me particular, I don't like it because it's more than we pay the school fees. It's more than we pay the school fees because bring this, if you make the total, it's higher than free education.
While indeed the NDC and the MPP have also outlined how they intend to address these concerns. But the big question is, will this proposed solution from the two parties influence voter decision here in the Ayawaso Central Constituency? My name, as always, is Carlos Kaloni.
And that's our constituency lens. You want to catch the full episode at 8 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Stay a while longer in the election headquarters, and the Electoral Commission has begun the 6-day process of transferring ballots for the parliamentary elections from printing facilities across the country. Michael Ashali joins me in studio. Michael, what are we learning? What did you find?
So from the Greater Accra region, we move from InnoLink to the Greater Accra Regional Command, where the political parties dividing themselves amongst the various constituencies. This is just for the parliamentary ballots, I must say. And they looked at the seals that came from the printing house. They'll break it, look at the content, check the serial numbers of the ballots. When they are done, they'll seal it again with new serial numbers. Then when that is done, then they keep it in the armory of the police. Then on the 7th or the 6th of December, they'll go for it. Then you and I will have the opportunity to put our thumbprint on it at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, we can't wait for details of that. And also tonight, the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition is demanding more political commitment in the fight against corruption. Another broad campaign called Pledge Against Corruption. The consortium of CSOs working to fight corruption say they would want political party manifesto to deal with issues of corruption. We can hear from some of them.
We see that it's a big challenge. Citizens who are daring to report corruption have an issue because at the end of the day, they don't have enough evidence to support. So we spoke extensively to most of the political parties on this, that we need the law that supports this. So that if I say, for instance, beauty is corrupt, beauty, the public officer has done something that needs to be investigated. We should not wait for her to give us all the evidence to support. And I remember the current president made that commitment as well sometime, but that's what under the bridge for us now. That was not done.
Talk about inflation and the dollar exchange. We underrate the extent to which corruption contributes to it. Because if a project is costing 10 cedis, and I'm doing it for 15 cedis because the politicians wants it that way, I'm actually taking more money out of the system than is due, and I have a higher disposable income, and therefore I can spend that money, and that can cause inflation.
First of all, the manifestos as we've seen them, none of them actually, in fact, most of them are vague on corruption, really.
You heard there Franklin Kojo. Earlier also you heard David Ofosu-Dorte and then Mary Atta. Well, today's forum is beginning to yield results as some of the political parties going into the elections have pledged to fight corruption if given the opportunity. The representatives at the Pledge Against Corruption Forum also pointed out to some unique constraints inhibiting their fight against corruption. And we have X Spaces tonight, for your election headquarters, where we are focusing on the NPP. Blessed Sugan will be interacting with Richard Ahyagba on our X Spaces. You will want to catch that. Now on the campaign show, former President John Dramani Mahama has once again criticized President Akufo-Addo for a statue erected in his honor. The NDC presidential candidate says if he had focused on self-promotion like the president, statues of him will be seen everywhere across the country. Listen to him speak at the Western North region.
All they know is building statues when you have not left office. It is your good works that should speak for you and earn you praise. If that's the case, I might as well place my statue at every project I have completed.
Airport, Terminal 3, University of Ghana Medical Center, Farming Kuma Interchange, Kaswa Interchange, Kejetia Market, statue of Ghana hanging.
Look at where he, Akufo-Addo, has placed his statue around projects that are still unfinished.
And so, baby, on this statue, you can see here. And Juma Oya Wahonina on ye. Hospital, Amudi Kosi, hospital name, ye, interchange now, yes, China for no, ye. Tagrade market settle, Ejano, ye. A quite no pony runabout a statue, Nissi Sodo, ye.
For them, the damage done to the country seems to be enough. We, however, will protect what is left.
Baby, Oma say Druno, Omonko, Niambebonia, Akano Hubai.
And that's former President John Dramani Mahama to the camp of the NPP, and the party's presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, continues to boast of the successful implementation of the free senior high school policy, saying that his government has proven doubters wrong. He's been speaking at a stakeholder engagement in Bosomtwe.
Na said ya Ghana aircono, na yenkoda bebre, enya kwai enko senior high school. Na abeye sikasem.
Secondary education was a very difficult thing for the poor. That is why the MPP decided to implement free senior high school. We have successfully implemented the policy, and we are seeing great results. Our doubters, we have proven our doubters wrong. The NDC didn't believe we can do this, but here we are. My government will do more to improve the free senior high school policy and also introduce new initiatives to make it better.
Bako 5.7 million children across senior high school free.
That's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, let me give you a reason to get to the good park for the next 3 days.
I'm made in Ghana. I'm made in Ghana. I'm made in Ghana.
And it's finally here. It's the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair, and we had the official launch today. And it's been made possible by Joy Prime's Made in Ghana, which was officially launched. There are over 90 business owners which are participating in the fair will promote and project their locally produced products and creations, and also attract potential investors. You know where to be the next 3 days. Michelle Ejekum joins us on the line. We are not talking big chef today. We are talking Made in Ghana Fair. Michelle, tell us more.
Hey, Emefa.
Hi, Michelle. What's happening? You are at the Good Park shopping and shopping. Tell us more.
Yes, so just like you said, we launched the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair earlier today, and since that time, we've seen a number of people come in to shop. Trust me, from food to clothing to accessories, everything you need is here. And this is something I call, this is one I call the pre-sale for Christmas. Christmas is right around the corner, and we're thinking of buying our rice, our oil, all the clothing we want to wear for the Christmas parties. And here's where you can get all of them at discounted prices. Well, one thing I have seen that has stood out for me so far is beads. In fact, I saw the beads on a well-shaped mannequin,
Wow.
giving the hourglass figure. And I mean, I was like, okay, this is actually my second time seeing it. I thought it was a special, thing that is crafted for people, but I realized it's something on the market. So we have beads here. We have clothing, made in Ghana clothing here. Handmade clothing are here. There are also plastics being displayed. There are products for hair, skin. Everything is here, food and all.
Okay.
Now, tomorrow, we'll be having the happy hour. So after work, you're listening, make sure that you're passing by the Good Park. Come, let's have fun. So while you shop, we'll be having some music, food, and of course, the known DJs that people that we admire so much, the DJs that we admire.
And I'm sure Mercury will be there.
Yes, Mercury
Okay.
will be here.
Okay.
DJ Icon will also be here. We'll be playing through and through. You know, on Fridays, how we love to have the Friday hangouts. We're going to do the hangouts right here at Good Park. And then on Saturday, we're going to have the fashion show that will be showcasing the Ghanaian-made fabric and designs that we do now for our engagements.
And I'm told our general manager drove that electric vehicle on display there.
Oh, yes, he did.
Okay. I can't wait to have a test drive too. And more reasons why we need to be at the Good Park. Michelle, don't enjoy alone and don't shop alone. I'll join you soon. For the next 3 days, where to be, the place to be actually, is the Good Park for the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair. And we know that the Office of the Registrar of Companies is also at the fair to offer free expert advice to business owners as well. So it's the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair. Joy FM wants to own it, but it's a Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair. The next 3 days at the Good Park. You can miss it. And that's how we end today's edition of News Night here on Joy 99.7 FM. Personality Profile with Lexis Bill is up next. We are hosting Akyea Mensah Bunsu. MD Primetime Limited is a primetime production. You want to stay for that. I'm Emefa. Have a good evening.